In this tutorial, we're going to be doing some acceleration problems where I give you distance and time, and we're going to be using distance and time to calculate what the acceleration is. We're going to use the guess method in order to do the problem solving, and with that, let's look at what each one of the letters means in the guess method. Starting with G, we're going to call that our given information. Now that could be a number, it could be a value, but it's information that is given that can be used to calculate our next word, which is our unknown. And our unknown is what we're going to be solving for. So we have the given, which is what we're given for the problem, which is usually a number. An unknown, which is something that we don't know yet, but we're trying to find out in our problem. Next is E for equation. And the equation is what's going to put together our given and unknown. The first S in the guess method is going to be simplify or substitute, which is where you have the equation and you rearrange the equation so that way you can find the unknown. And then you substitute in the given information so that way you can solve for the problem. Then finally, the last S in guess is to solve. So once we have our given information, we know what our unknown is, we found the equation that puts them together, we're going to simplify our equation and substitute in our given information to solve for our unknown. So let's look at some problems, example problems to help us out. On all the problems we're going to be doing today, we're going to use the same equation, and that is A, or acceleration, is equal to 2d divided by t squared. So here is our equation. It's 2d divided by t squared. Now, we'll worry about how we get that equation when we start studying kinematics, but for right now, this is the equation we're going to be using for all of our problems. So let's go through the guess method, starting out with our G, our given. So our problem, if we read our problem here, it says determine the acceleration of a car that accelerates from rest a distance of 100 meters in 5 seconds. So reading through this, we can determine that our unknown is a distance of 100 meters. That is given information, it's a number. Here's another number, 5 seconds, which is associated with time. So I'm going to write down D for my given information. D is equal to 100 meters, and my time is equal to 5 seconds. So that brings me to the next step, which is to find the unknown. It says right here, determine the acceleration. So that means that our unknown is acceleration. Next step is to find the equation. Well, we've already have the equation. It's right up here at the top. So we're going to say acceleration. Let me write that a little bit better. Acceleration is, acceleration is equal to 2d divided by t squared. Okay, don't forget the t squared. My next step is to substitute. So the way I would substitute is take the values that are my unknown, or my given, and plug them into the equation. So acceleration is equal to 2 times the distance, which is 100, divided by the t squared, which is going to be 5 squared, and that would give me 200 divided by 25, and making my final step, which is to solve, I solve it. 200 divided by 25 is going to give me 8. That's 8 meters per second squared. And that is my acceleration for this problem. So for the next problem, I'm going to do everything up to the first S, and I'm going to let you solve for the last S. So to start off, let's read the problem, and I have a video that helps to go with it. A motorcycle accelerates from rest a distance of 150 meters in 5 seconds. Determine the acceleration. So let's go ahead and see if we can figure that out. So starting off, we have our G, which is our given, and our given information is going to be 150 and 5 seconds. So 150 meters is associated with our distance, and 5 seconds is associated with a time. Okay? So those are our given information, and let's go ahead and write those in. So D is equal to 150 meters. T is equal to 5 seconds. Next is our unknown. Our unknown is going to be how much does it accelerate? It says determine the acceleration. So again, acceleration is our unknown. Equation, it's the same equation we used last time. A is equal to 2D, hold on, 2D divided by T squared. When we substitute it in, we would want to plug in our values. So we start with 2D, 2 times the distance, which we substitute in 150 for our distance, divided by the time squared, and the time is 5 seconds, and we want to square that. And then you will go ahead and take your last step, which is to solve for this problem and see what you guys come up with. For problem 2, I'm only going to do find the given for you, the unknown, and the equation, and you're going to have to substitute and solve. But this is a problem that you're going to see in the lab we're going to do very shortly. And watch the video. You can see we're going to have a cart that's going to be on the right side, and there is a string with a weight on this side that's going to pull it across, and as you can see, it's being pulled across, and it accelerates a certain distance. So we're going to accelerate from this point right here over to this point, and that is our distance. So as we read the problem, a lab cart is pushed so it moves 0.5 meters in 2 seconds. Determine the acceleration. So here is a number that's given information. This is going to be our distance. Here's another piece of information, 2 seconds, and that is going to give us a time. So now what we got to do is just plug those values in as our given. So we have D is equal to 0.5 meters, and we have time, which is going to be 2 seconds. We move on to the next one, which is our unknown. It says here, determine the acceleration. Again, this is our unknown, so acceleration is equal to our question mark, which is our unknown. Last step I'm going to do for you is write down the equation. Same equation as before, same equations for all of them, and that's the acceleration is equal to 2 times the distance divided by T squared. And then you guys can solve the rest. The last problem I'm going to do with you is with this jet, and a jet accelerates from rest a distance of 200 meters in 10 seconds. Determine the acceleration. So all I'm going to do is help you find the unknown, and again we have 200 meters here, and we have 10 seconds here, and 200 is going to be with our distance, and 10 seconds will be with our time. So distance is equal to 200 meters. Our time is going to be 10 seconds. And then from there, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to figure out what is the unknown, what equation puts them together, how to simplify or substitute, and then finally to solve. And then the rest of these problems, 4 through 10, I'd like you to try to do the whole thing on your own. Hopefully by now you got a pretty good system down in place, and the only thing left to do is to practice. Good luck, guys.